Welcome. To return to the language of proofs, we're going to go over negation, which is one of these things that's everywhere. So, if you don't get it immediately, keep on working at it because it's going to keep on showing up again and again. And hopefully you'll start to get the hang of it. But it is one of these things that isn't going to run away from you. You're going to have to confront it and tackle it, but you can. So here we go. So the notation we have here is we usually put a bar over the top. Okay, so this is negation. And we can think of it as not P. Okay, and it's called negation. Okay, so that's just kind of its technical term. And there's another way to write it, so sometimes also written so we have there's a little symbol, and I actually have to look to remember, yeah, because it's almost like a little N, and then like this. Okay, it won't be often that we'll write it like this, particularly if it's a little bit longer, but it's good to know the languages other people use so that when you see it, you know that this is what they mean. Okay, and then we have our truth table. So I have P, and then I have P bar. And so we only need to worry about when P is true or false. And it's kind of an interesting truth table because it really flops, right? So if we have true and false here, then we're going to have false and true. Okay, so P is true. So P is true precisely when, or if and only if, P bar is false. Right? So P is true when P bar is false and vice versa. Okay? So for example, we could say, let's say that P is the statement, she is a dog. So for P is the statement, she is a dog, or he is a dog is more, I have a dog, Pierre, so more commonly might be he is a, we're going to adjust that because P, like Pierre, he is a dog. And what would be the negation of that? Okay, so P is the statement, he is a dog, then we have that P bar is the statement he is not a dog. Okay, so we just added in the not part. Okay, and there is this sort, a lot of times there is a universe of discourse. So maybe, this is kind of like a caution here, and maybe I'll put the caution down here. Let's use another, no, we're not going to use another color first. So here's a caution. Okay, that often there's a universe of discourse that P bar still lives in. Okay, so for example, if X is a real number, and so P is the statement. So P is X is rational, right? Then P bar is X is irrational. And we're not allowing, for example, so we're not allowing for example, that X is a complex number. Okay. So there can be restrictions that are kind of like this universe of discourse. And when you negate something, if the universe of discourse is kind of established first and it's not part of your P statement, when you're negating, you stay within that same universe of discourse or that same world. Like, for example, if I'm only talking about real numbers, then negating is just looking at everything else within the real numbers, like rational versus irrational, right? You're either one or the other if you're in the real numbers. But if I'm allowing myself to be in the complex numbers, I might also be a complex, I might be I, for example. That's not a rational number. Okay? So you have to pay attention to whether there's a universe of discourse. Is it the integers? Am I only talking about things that are happening within the integers? Right? X is a multiple of 3. But if I'm assuming that X is an integer already, then I'm just going to say X is not a multiple of 3. Right? I'm not going to, it's still an integer. I'm not saying, oh, well, maybe it's just not an integer. Okay, so you have to pay attention also to this universe of discourse. Okay, so I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next lecture.